Well, my friends, I think we are live broadcasting to you wherever you are from. I'm in St. Louis, Missouri. My name is John O'Leary. The time is 9:01 Central, and this is our very first ever Live Inspired Together live webcast. So I want to first thank you for being part of this. Second, get you excited to be in the room with us. And third, I want to hear where you are tuning in from. So right now, whether you are on YouTube or Twitter or Instagram or Facebook or some social app that I've never even heard of, but my kids are probably on right now at this very moment, let me know where you are tuning in from. Let me know your name. Let me know what you're excited about today. So do that. There's a lot of reasons why. One is I want to hear from you. Second, I want this to be an engaging morning with us. And third, one lucky winner who posts, who shares, who comments will receive a special Live Inspired prize at the end of our 30-minute segment. So there's a lot of good reasons for you to be actively engaged in today, but I want you to win a prize. Yeah, but I want to hear from you. I want to do life with you. That's what Live Inspired Together ultimately is all about. Some of you may be wondering right now, what is this thing? Why have I never heard of this thing before? Well, we've been doing programs similar to this for the previous 47, not days, please, people, 47 months. 47 months. We've been calling it Live Inspired Together. We have this awesome community. Many of my friends and members are tuning in already. Cynthia Coffee, I see you there right now. I'm glad you're tuning in. They've been tuning in for 47 months, but we wanted to expand it to our overall social community, to more than 100,000 folks who tune in through our Monday Morning Motivation, to our friends in the text hotline, and to everybody else who are part of our community. So we've been doing this for a while, but never like this. So we are excited to bring this forward to you. This program is about changing the world. That's what we believe here. Starting with our own. One of the things we know as we tune in today, that 2021 has been challenging, and the 12 months previous to that were incredibly difficult. So what I want to do is to give us something to really look forward to over not only the 9 months to come, but for the remainder of our lives yet to come. Okay. So before I start sharing a little bit of my story, some of the things that I'm looking forward to today, some of the things that got me through difficult times in my journey, one more time, if you're just waking up right now, grab a sip of that coffee, drink it down, man, drink it down bold, and let us know where you're tuning in from, and tell your friends by sharing that you are part of the Live Inspired Together very first ever webcast. You'll be glad that you are partaking in this, I promise you. But I think as they wake up, as they join in, so will they. Looking back at your lives, have you ever been through a set of circumstances that you would refer to now as a very trying time in your life? Yes or no, just nod your head. We have a special two-way communication stream going here. We've all been burned. We've all been through circumstances that were challenging and trying. 2020 is exhibit A for just about every one of us. And when we are in the midst of the storm, if you read the paper today, if you look in the mirror today, if you look at some of the challenges around us or within us, we're always suffocating, I think, in challenge and in adversity. So one of the things we need to move forward through those difficult times is a goal that is worthy. Part of our program today in creating and living the bucket list is to make sure we know where we are going. We know where we are. We know the headwind is real, but we also will recognize the best days are in front of us. When I was a little boy, and I recognize in this community chat today, many of us have heard O'Leary speak somewhere along the line. You'll hear a little bit more about my story today, but I went through my own trying experience and needed something to carry me through those days. At age 9, I saw boys in my neighborhood playing with fire and gasoline. What the little guys would do is they would sprinkle just a little bit of gasoline. Thank you, Christine Decker, for sharing. They would sprinkle just a little bit of gasoline on a sidewalk. They would stand back 2 feet. They would throw a match on top of the gasoline, and it would dance to life. And when you're 9 and you're a boy, this is awesome. Well, what happened for me is I tried to model that same experiment in my parents' garage. You saw the picture a moment ago of the gasoline can that blew up in my face. It launched me 20 feet against the far side of the garage. Next picture, please. When we were little, leaders, class, live inspired together community, we were taught and we were trained what to do when we're on fire. Type in right now what we are supposed to do when we're on fire. Smokey the Bear taught you this when you were in second and third grade. Kids, when you're on fire, you should type it in. I need a sip of coffee. You're going to do the work for a moment. When you're on fire, you are supposed to, that's right, stop and drop and roll. Thank you, Susan. I'm glad you're part of this. Rona, I'm glad you're in. Amy, thank you for the answer. Stop, drop, and roll. It's so easy. Life is so easy when it's up here. One of the challenges with COVID, one of the challenges with relationships, one of the challenges with leadership, one of the challenges with life, though, is that we don't live up here. We live from a far more sacred source. Our hearts. Our job as leaders, as parents, as sons, as daughters, as human beings is to make sure that the head knowledge is always connected down to the heart. That's where the good stuff always takes place. When the two become one. Separate is not equal. Have we really not learned this lesson yet? The two must become one, undivided. That day for me, they were completely separate. And I freaked out. I panicked. I think I did what just about every one of us would do if we ever found ourselves on fire. I ran and it changed my life because one moment, next picture, I'm this happy, healthy. I'm just going to be honest with you, ladies and gentlemen and leaders and community members today, extremely good looking, good haircut, well dressed. Christmas tree was up. Stockings were hung on the chimney with care. Life was awesome. And then life changed in a moment. In like 11 seconds, I'm going to show you a really hard picture. Some of you may want to look away for a moment. I know some of you are watching with your kids or grandbabies or neighbors or partners. Shut their eyes for them because this is hard to look at, but this is life. This is life. I'm now on my back in a hospital bed with burns on 100% of my body. 87% are third degree. And we could talk about what my mom and dad did and the grace they showed and the love they guided me forward with. We could talk about the prayers that came from not only that hospital room that day, but from around St. Louis, around the Midwest, around the country, and around the world. We could talk about the people who showed up, the roles that they stepped into, the lives that were changed. But today, this morning, at 9:09 Central Standard Time on this gorgeous Saturday morning, I want to talk about the value of vision. Because in the midst of the storm, it's so easy to get focused on just the devastation, on just the headwind, on just the things that are out of place. What is so important when we go through our own struggles in life is to have a vision that we are moving toward together. This little boy with his hand in his mom's and the other hand in his father's and community members showing up and serving him had this vision that it wasn't going to end like this, not in a hospital room, not with bandages. It's not going to be a tragic story. It's going to be a triumphant story of faith and boldness and love together. That was the vision. And we had three big goals back then that were guiding us through these days. The very first, next picture, please. Homecoming. We dreamt in the hospital room on that very first day in the emergency room of one day going home, a radical vision for a boy with no skin on his body to dream that one day they will roll me out of here. I will get back into my mom and dad's wooden station wagon and they're going to take me home. I'm going home, man. That was a cool vision. But then people started showing up for me. Servants, leaders, visionaries. One of those, and those of you who have heard me speak live before, have heard me share the story of Jack Buck. Great story. We're not going to unpack the story today, but I'll share with you one picture that best signifies and celebrates that story. Jack Buck was the announcer for the Cardinals, and he imagines with me, he envisions with me John O'Leary Day at the ballpark. It was a vision. It was a bucket list item, and it became a reality. And there was one more vision we had, even in those difficult days between surgeries and bandage changes and physical therapy and everything else. We had this vision of one day not only getting out of the hospital, not only one day going downtown for John O'Leary Day at the ballpark, but one day getting into our wooden station wagon. Remember the old Chevy Chase wooden station wagons back in the mid-'80s? We were those guys. Hopping into that car together as a family of 6 siblings, and driving out to Colorado. None of us had ever seen mountains. Missouri's beautiful, but there really aren't mountains in Missouri. So that was the vision not only I had and my mom and dad had, but my 5 siblings had. This picture hangs on my wall, but I wanted to share it with you today. This is the picture taken about a year into recovery of not only that little boy in that good-looking fisherman's hat and sunglasses in his left hand and good-looking white shorts and red shirt at the Continental Pass, but of his family, of this collective overcoming, of doing life together. One of the mistakes I think too frequently we make, my friends, is to imagine that we can just do this thing by ourselves in real time. And we can't. We can't. We need others and we need a vision. So I'm going to back into this session right now by having us imagine what is possible for you and me to achieve in this year, in the midst of the storm, in the midst of the crisis, in the midst of everything you're dealing with individually, professionally, collectively as a country. And we're going to put a question right now on the screen, but I would love for you to share with the rest of us one thing that you are looking forward to achieving in 2021. Type it in right now. I'll be reading some of the comments that I see. And as I said earlier, we're going to be picking one really lucky winner to receive a cool Live Inspired gift package today. So type in your answers right now in the midst of the storm, in the midst of maybe not being able to travel totally freely or to walk around without a mask or to have some great uncertainties in your business, your finances, your family, your nation. What's one thing you're looking forward to achieving? Amy Lloyd is tuning in from Crestwood, Missouri. Build a dollhouse for my niece. Awesome. Keep them coming in. Jamie Pollard. Hug my mom again after vaccination. Bring it on, Amy. CJ and KC. Internet course on forgiveness. By the way, Chuck's not taking that course. He's giving that course. I know Chuck. I love Chuck. I respect Chuck. Abby Richter. Going on a long road trip with my husband and our 2 baby boys, getting away from it all. Awesome, Abby. Keep them coming in. Come on. Fill the screen. Share the good news. Deb Goner. Expand my garden. Start now, Deb. If your weather's like ours today, today's a good day. Going to church. Going to a Cardinal game, Lorraine. I'll see you down there at Busch Stadium. Matt Gilliam. Passing my Compesha A+ exams. I hope I'm saying that right, but good luck on passing those exams. K2, start my homeless charity in honor of my brother, Lisa Brill. Looking forward to volunteering with the Parkinson's disease. Alyssa Kennedy, adopting our daughter. Come on, man, this is good news. Why do we begin today with this question? Maybe that's what we should be asking right now. Because the media, every single day begins it with the exact opposite question. They begin every single day. Read the Wall Street Journal today. I did. There's a boat stuck in the Suez Canal. That's the top story. And then it goes on from there to talk about the challenges in Brazil, the challenges with North Korea, the challenges in the financial markets, the challenges with your life. And the truth, they say that the best days are behind you. The worst days are yet to come. That's what they say. In every media, all these posts all day long, when you tune into cable networks, and then you see it reflected in social media. And it's no wonder why anxiety is at an all-time high, why depression seems to be increasing by the day, why we feel more and more filled with despair and hopelessness. I want to give you something to look forward to, not only in 2021, but in your lives beyond that. I've had the honor, leaders on this call, of partnering with more than 2,000 organizations in 49 states. I'm looking at you, Alaska. 49 states. Haven't got Alaska in there yet, but I think one day I will. A couple dozen countries, a couple million people live. And one of those was a school in West St. Louis County. And I stood with the principal that day below a sign that I will always remember. And it has always stuck with me because this was one of the most successful schools in the entire Missouri marketplace. Put the picture up, please. So that's a gentleman who ran that school at the time. His name is Matt Miller. He was Missouri Principal of the Year. He was wildly successful in turning around 3 different schools, making them wildly successful. How was he able to do so? Well, there's a lot of responses to that. But most succinctly and most beautifully, not only for Matt, for the staff, for the teachers, but for the kids, was the simple expression: love is the key. Love is the key. We at Live Inspired have been honored to partner with Matt many times, and now most recently partnered with Matt as the coach of our Live Inspired organization and community. So today on this Saturday morning, direct to you from his family vacation out west. He's living the bucket list. He's in the hotel room right now. He's on Wi-Fi away from the national parks, but tuning in with you today. His name is Matt Miller. Matt, thanks for making time and having part of your morning with us.
Wouldn't have missed it. Good morning, everyone.
Hey, Matt, you have had the honor and of partnering now with dozens of organizations and hundreds of individuals as part of our Live Inspired community. What do you hear most frequently from, like, what's the struggle right now that most individuals are dealing with?
Well, John, there's three things that we keep people coming back to. And number one is a lot of people are busy and we lose focus of the most important. So our first goal is getting everyone to focus on the most important, whatever that may be. Second is to stay in their circle. And people tuning in know they hear that a lot from me. But we get too caught up in everything that we don't have any control over. So just staying in our circle of what we have control over. And then third, and most importantly, is taking the right step, taking the next right step for yourself. And too many times we sit around waiting to be motivated to take that next right step. And just motion creates emotion. John and I say that all the time. And so taking the next right step is what takes us onto that next journey. So those are the three things we continually come back to within our coaching.
Matt, recognizing that everybody's under stress right now, and if you're working physically, you're exhausted, and many of us are nervous showing up physically. If you're working virtually, you got virtual fatigue. You're sick of staring at a screen. You're sick of not hugging your family, your parents, your coworkers, everything else that's going on. What can we do specifically to allow us to stay within our circle, to take the next right step? Or are there a couple nuggets that you would say, hey, John, part of the daily process ought to be this and this and this, what you would be doing right now?
Well, and, I've been watching the comments. And so, Matthew, my heart's out to you and Bob and also to our community members. I know Sylvia's watching with her kids right now. So I just have to give a bunch of shout outs to our community that's been with us for a long time. Casey, Chuck, and K2, and Jen Lily's watching with her mom, and Chris and Brad and all of you. I think the most important the last few weeks with all the changes is we spend too much time in our past of what might have happened or what did happen, and we get stuck there, or there's too much focus on what might happen and we don't spend enough time in right now. So today, how can we make today great and not get caught up in the then and the when? And so I would say that piece, and then, simple things. It's also what you choose not to do. Don't spend too much time watching the news. Don't spend too much time on social media. Get out and get moving. It's just as important sometimes to choose what not to do.
Matt, so it's not only a matter of saying yes to the right things, but also saying no to the wrong things. And one of the things that I think will allow us to do both is to strive to do life together. You and our organization have been supporting dozens of organizations and hundreds of individuals through the Live Inspired community. Can you give our listeners and those who are tuning in right now a chance to stay in touch with you and our community? What's the best way to stay in touch?
Absolutely. And so if you'll pick up this device right here that I know is sitting next to you somewhere, and a lot of you, a lot of people are already in our community joining us that are a part of this. But if you need help focusing on the most important, if you want somebody walking with you to take the next right step or helping you stay in your circle, all you have to do is text Together 2021. So all together, there we go on the screen. And text the number 314-207. And that's actually 5010, not 2010. So ignore the number there. So it's 207-5010. And if you'll text Together 2021, here's our promise to you, is John and I, what we know is what we learned in 2020 was that people want to know that somebody's there. And sometimes, we just need we need to know that somebody's out there. We're here for you. Yeah. So when you text that number, we will always respond. We will always be there for you. So again, 314-207-5010. We come into your lives every Saturday morning. So be careful. If you send this text, you're going to be getting a lot of texts from us. Not a lot, but once a week. So again, we come into your lives Saturday mornings, and we'll always have a message, and I'm sure we're going to be showing that. But it's a weekly video from John to keep you inspired. Because here's the two things we know. Number one, we have to have somebody that opens our hearts, and there's nobody better than this guy that's on the screen with me right now. But the next thing we need is somebody to walk with us, whoever that may be, family member, friend, coach, someone. So join on in. We look forward to joining your community, and share it. Share it with everyone you know. We're trying to build this community, because when you read our mission statement, we are trying to change the world, starting with our own.
Yeah.
You're going to hear a great story about that later.
You are going to hear a great story about that later. And for the leaders right now who are saying, I'll text him later, and I think that sounds like a sweet idea, do it now. We got the number right on the screen. I just texted mine in. It led me to a link. It told me, hey, John, one more step to join our community. Number, name, last name, email address. There's all my information right there. I'm done. I'm enrolled. I'm signing up. Not only am I part of creating the videos and part of the process, but the commitment is this. If you need something, we're in. Like, we are fully committed to doing life together in a marketplace that wants to build walls and wants to remind you the reasons for divisiveness. Man, we want to celebrate unity. We want to celebrate life, and we want to celebrate the truth that the best is yet to come together. So please do text Matt right now at the number. We'll put it up on the screen one more time. It is 314. There it is coming across the screen, 207-5010. Text Together 2021 to that. And then welcome to our community. Matt, I'll check in with you at the bottom of the hour for a little bit of Q&A as we wrap up together. So, hey, thanks for joining us live, and we'll see you in about 10 minutes. So one of the things that Matt has recognized as he's worked and coached and loved the individuals who have joined us along the movement is the thing that many people are wrestling with right now is regret. It's regrets of what they did in 2020, or what they were unable to do in 2020, or things they said, or words they should have said, mistakes that they made, all these things about what they did looking backward. And we want to make sure, my friends, that looking forward, you become a little bit liberated from some of those regrets. And I had a whole lot of stories of which way to take this next step forward together with you this morning. But we ran a podcast. Some of you may know that we have a Live Inspired podcast that is top rated, that is seriously awesome, where we bring on people that we look up to. One of the individuals we brought on was a gentleman, next picture please, named Ben Nimpton. Ben Nimpton was struggling in his own journey in life. And he and his buddies back in college, as they're dealing with anxiety, dealing with who are we? Like, what really matters? What should we do in our lives? Decided to make a list of 100 wild ideas that they would like to do before they die. Crazy ideas. And not only did they kind of brainstorm this over pizza and maybe a beer or two, I'm not here to judge, I'm just saying it's possible back in college, that may have been what fueled their creativity. They wrote down 100 things they wanted to do before they die. Wrote them all down. And it's really like some pretty odd, wild things, like the kind of things that will never become reality, except that they had the audacity to take action toward it. The very first thing they said is, man, we want to get an old RV, pull it out of a junk yard, rebuild the engine, and drive around North America in this thing. And then they did it. Then they had another crazy dream of driving around a small car throughout the European mountainside and just experiencing life together as young guys having fun. And they did it. And then these four guys said, you know what? It would be really cool. Four guys that have no ability to sing whatsoever were able to go into a North American professional team and sing the national anthem at a game. And then they did it. Pretty remarkable stuff. And then they said, you know what? We love sports. We love basketball. Would it not be awesome if we were able to shoot some baskets with the seated president of the United States? These are Canadians, but they were able to do it. They did it. Then they say, I'm not an artist, But Will Ferrell's one of my favorite actors. He's hilarious. I'd love to meet him. I'd love to draw a picture of him too. That'd be crazy. I wonder if we could do that. And they do. They dream of writing the #1 best-selling book. They do. They dream, again, of sitting next to a woman you may have heard of named Oprah Winfrey, visiting with her, talking about their life, talking about the things they've overcome, talking about the impact that they've had, not only on their lives, but more importantly, and we'll come back to this in just about 36 seconds, on the lives of those around them, on the impact they've had, not only for them, but on the ability they've had to influence and impact the lives they've touched along the way. They were able to do those things because they first began with a dream, with the vision. We began this session by talking about little John O'Leary in a burn center bed, surrounded in love and faith and grace and hope, with a vision of getting out of the hospital, of having John O'Leary date the ballpark, of one day hopping into an old wooden station wagon, driving out with his 5 siblings and his mom and dad, and seeing the Rocky Mountains for himself. That's the vision that we had 33 years ago. But today's not 1987. Today's March of 2021. So my question to you right now, my friends, is what is your vision? Here we go. Question's going to pop up on the screen. If you could achieve anything and you were thinking big and you knew you would not fail, what would you do? If you right now were able to make your very own bucket list of ideas you wanted to move toward, of forgiveness you wanted to offer or receive, of a place you wanted to visit, of a mindset you wanted to embrace, of a check you wanted to write, of a place you wanted to move, of a relationship you wanted redeemed, whatever it is, if you could achieve anything and you knew you would not fail and you were thinking big, that's not small, you're with the guys eating pizza, having a beer, having a soda, having a water, iced tea, whatever your flavor of the month is, fine. But you were thinking big. What would be on your bucket list? I'd like you to type that into us right now. If you were thinking really big, what's going to be on your bucket list? You heard some of the things on O'Leary's. You heard some of the thing on Ben Nimpton's. But what's on your podcast? Or what's on Ben's on my podcast? What's on your bucket list? And as the little sign is reminding me right now, please do share in the comments for a chance to win some Live Inspired Together goodies. You won't want to miss out on that opportunity. What's on your bucket list? Kevin Croft, K2. Attack homelessness and make a profound difference. Right on. Spend 3 to 6 months in another country. Awesome. Travel to 7 countries, continents. Take my boys. Abby, you better do this. Abby and I work together, so she's going to do this. I'm going to help make sure it becomes a reality. Take my boys to the places they are named after. Hike around Ireland. Carol, I will be your porter. I will carry your bags on that one. Paula, you are going to record the album. I'll be in line to hear it and then to have you sign it. Keith Gibson, my brother, to be an awesome grandfather. I did not know Gibby was on right now. Gibby is south of Birmingham. Gibson, we were praying for you during this week, during the storms that affected South Alabama, man. So we love you. I'm grateful you're part of this. You are an awesome friend, awesome dad. I'm sure you'll be an awesome grandfather. My own retirement community in a small rural community for Deanna Wilson. Keep going. Ride a mule down to the bottom of the Grand Canyon. You'll be following me, Amy, because that sounds like fun. Be financially independent. Deborah, thank you, Deborah Miller. And they just keep coming in. So my friends, how do we step into this? At the very end of our time together, Coach Matt is going to come back on and give us some specific strategies to ensure that it goes from being a bucket list up on a wall or a couple comments you share through Facebook or Instagram or YouTube or however you're typing in right now into living this. But one of the keys to Ben Nimpton's success, this is really important, is that every single time he achieved anything on that 100 bucket list goal list, he would help the person who made the difference for him knock something off theirs. So when they bought the RV, the person who helped them do that, they then encouraged that person to share, hey, what's on your bucket list? And then they helped that person achieve that thing for them. So everything was not just about success for the young men. It was about significance. It was about living the bucket list, not only for this group of 4 young, healthy North American fellas, but about allowing and freeing and liberating those who encouraged them along the way to knock something off their bucket list, to live a life of significance. Many times people ask me why we at Live Inspired have become as successful as we have. I know that sounds like a humble brag, but we've done some really cool things in the community. We've traveled the world and have a couple of best-selling books out there. And like, why? It's not because O'Leary's that articulate, as you've heard over the last 31 minutes. It's not because we got the perfect strategy and the tactics. Our life in our organization is about service. Where did that come from? It comes from the humility and the fact that a little boy who now sits in front of you as an older man is here through God's grace, and because people kept showing up and serving him when they did not need to. Jack Buck, the announcer, Gino Cavallini, the hockey player, the friends who showed up in the hospital, President Reagan, who wrote the letters with his wife of support and prayer, not only him, presidents around the world, trees being planted in Israel, prayers being offered in the Vatican, support. That's why I'm here. And so we've always made our business model around supporting those who need it. No questions asked. So we get emails all the time of people saying and sharing some of the struggles that they are witnessing and experiencing in their own life. And we always try to offer encouragement back. But there was a letter that we received exactly a year ago, almost to this day, from a little family whose son had been burned. I'm going to show you the picture of this little guy. And I think when you see him, you'll recognize why we were so motivated by this little fella named Davion. So I hear about this little boy being burned when he was 4 months old. His right hand looks almost exactly like mine. His face has been burned over his entire structure. And yet he has this joy for life. He has this love, not only of others, but this love of himself. He has something that I think all of us, at least me, desire for themselves. And so when I heard first about Davion, we started just sending him a couple notes back and forth, encouraging him. And then I sent him a little package in the mail. I'd heard that Davion wanted to one day become an author. And I wanted to encourage that dream, that bucket list item. And so my team and I wrote him a little love letter and sent him a little care package. I'm going to have my team right now supporting me play the video of when Davion received this package in the mail.
Who is this from?
Who's it from?
John O'Leary. John Leary! It's from John O'Leary.
Who is John O'Leary?
He is my hero, and he got burnt like me, and he's an author, and I wanna grow up just like him.
Aww. Are you gonna open it?
Yeah. That book?
That's his book, dude.
That's the book that he wrote.
Do you want Kiki to read it? Here, let Kiki read it.
There's no pictures.
Here's a picture.
All right, let
That's
Kiki.
it?
That's his family.
Do you want Kiki to read it to you?
There's John Leary.
That is so.
If that doesn't move you, and I'm seeing comments like goosebumps and tears and everything else, if that doesn't move you, I need you to quickly call 911 and tell the paramedics to get you now, because your heart has officially stopped. Okay? It doesn't mean you're a bad person. It just means your heart is bad. Okay? You need to go to the hospital immediately if you're not deeply moved by that little boy, his joy for life, his desire to see a photo book, his disappointment with seeing a word book. I love that. It's my favorite part of it. But it doesn't end there. If you haven't yet shared this with your community, hit share right now, because we got 3 more videos to share with you. The first one's an awesome start, but we're not done yet. There's more. There's more. So if you haven't yet hit share on your social media stream, do it right now, because you and they will want to see what remains of this story. Davion was moved by the book. He liked John O'Leary. He liked little John O'Leary, and then he wanted to say thank you. So I'd like to play the second video for you now.
Hi, John O'Leary. I'm just doing this video to thank you for this awesome new book. You know this. You're my hero. So thanks. Have a good day. Bye.
So then what do you do with a little love letter like that? When it comes to you with a little boy waving and you are my hero and I love you and I'm grateful for you. Well, my friends, if you want to hear what we do, if you want to be part of our journey forward, I'm just going to encourage you right now to join us and live inspired together. Yes, I'm going to play the remaining 2 videos for you regardless, but we want you to become part of this impact with us. So right now on the screen, flashing in front of you is the number of our texting line, of our community line. It is 314-207-5010. Please grab your phone, open up your heart one more time and text Together 2021 to 314-207-5010. That's how we're going to stay in touch. And that's how we're going to not only elevate and change the world, but how we're going to begin doing so by changing our world. So 314-207-5010. Please text Together 2021, click the link, fill the rest in. In doing so, you help us, you encourage us, you equip us to make a difference in the community. It is your support that allows us to do what we have been able to do with Davion and many, many, many others in the community. So let me tell you the rest of the story. We had heard that Davion is a big fan of the Kansas City Chiefs, Chuck Jansen. I don't know where he gets this from. He lives in Kansas City, but he loves the Kansas City Chiefs. And his favorite player is a guy named Patrick Mahomes. We wanted to do something to allow him to really have an awesome Christmas, because sometimes for all of us during times, it's hard to get everything that maybe we wish we could give to our little ones. And we wanted to make sure that Davion on Christmas morning had something beautiful to open up and to wear. So our team here at Live Inspired sent out a game-ready Kansas City Chiefs jersey, Patrick Mahomes style, that this little boy opened up. We were able to do a live Zoom call with him. And again, see the joy on his face and in his eyes. And then continue the conversation and continue the impact going forward. But it doesn't stop there. Davion's struggling a little bit lately because he's going through difficult surgery after difficult surgery as they rebuild his hands. He got burned 8 years ago, but the recovery doesn't end. The recovery doesn't end just because you're out of the hospital. It continues for the rest of your life. Trust me. Okay. It continues for the rest of your life. And so this little guy a couple of weeks ago had a very difficult surgery, and he's got another very difficult one coming up this coming week. So I think it's on Monday morning. He's going in for yet another surgery. God bless him. So what do? Send a little hashtag thoughts and prayers, Davion. That's one way, I guess, to handle it. Alternatively, you can hop into a minivan with your family and you can go out there and you can share a little bit of love and encouragement in real time. Either one works. But one of them is the common approach, and the other one is the Live Inspired Together approach. It's the one that actually changes lives, starting with our own. We keep hoping maybe Biden will make it better, or maybe Trump will come back into office, or maybe my wife will figure out her stuff, and then finally my life will be. No, you change the world by starting with your own. So John popped himself into this little minivan, drove across the state. And I want to share with you the video of inside Davion's house when a minivan from St. Louis, Missouri pulls up in Kansas City last week about exactly this time. So 1 week ago today, this is the view from inside Davion's house. I'll let the video play.
Who is that?
Calm down. You come from a great town with great people and
Are those?
that guy trying to kill you. So, what could possibly be more important than protecting the people?
Wait, is that John O'Leary? You never told me. Here? You liar!
So that was his perspective. And here is the one from our family. Is this Davion?
Yeah.
I'm the donut delivery man. Can I give you a hug? What's going on, buddy? How are you?
Good.
What's going on?
Hi.
Miss Beth, how are you? Hey, guys. This is my wife, Beth. She wanted to see you.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Do you like donuts? Here you go, man. We came from St. Louis to say hi to you. We came from St. Louis to say hi, but we came also to remind him that he is a priceless treasure, that he is respected, that he's looked up to, that he is loved, that he is not alone, and to give him something to look forward to. So after handing him some donuts that he could devour, his mother said, basically before my car was even out of the driveway, he put down 6 donuts apparently. We also wanted to give him something to really look forward to. Davion's dream has always been one day, kind of like to be a normal little guy. That's what he really wants. That's what I wanted to as a child after being burned. He wants to go to a water park. That's all the little things in life aren't. All he really wants to do is go to a big old water park indoor. He wants to stay a couple nights. He wants to have a blast with his family. He wants to go down slides, jump off diving boards, play in the water, be normal, have fun, laugh with his family and other kids. So in addition to handing him a box of donuts, we also were able to hand him a certificate for a couple nights stay at a massive water park where he could take his family and have a wonderful experience together. We were able to do that, my friends, because of the Live Inspired Together community. It's you guys, it's you ladies, it's you leaders, it's your shares, it's your love, it's your showing up with us. Many of you are contributing monthly to the work that we do. We're grateful for that. There's a way for all of us to support on our website. We're grateful for that. That's what allows us to do the work that we are doing. It makes a difference not only for Davion, it makes a difference for all of us who are doing it. So as we get ready to wrap up this call, I do want to paint a picture for where we are going next. We have these Saturday text messages that get sent to you. They are videos, they encourage, they equip you to live into the truth that your best days are in front of you. We meet monthly, live, just like this. It's the 4th Monday. It's not the 4th Monday. It's the 4th Saturday. So I'm going to put up a little page right now where you can learn where the next one is. But you may join us on the 4th Saturday of every month. Our very next conversation is going to be on canceling the cancel culture. I think that one has some relevance for where we are right now. We want to cancel the cancel culture. We actually want to come together. We want to believe enough in who we are and what we stand for that we actually are willing to stand and listen, learn from, and love those who look, act, worship, believe, vote differently than we do. Wouldn't that be wild if we could do that right now as a community? So next month, 4th Saturday of April, we're going to be coming back together and we're going to be canceling the cancel culture together. So if you want to learn more about that, just go ahead and reach out to Coach Matt right now. I'm going to bring him onto the screen one more time as we take any questions that you may have for us as we wrap up this very first ever Live Inspired Together webcast, my friends. So Matt Miller, you are a heart-led leader as you have been seated here for the last 43 minutes tuning in. What has moved you? What do you want to share before we take any questions from our community members?
Well, Davion's my little buddy, and his mom, Beth, is tuning in. So hi, Beth. And that's what it's all about, is what we're learning is if we can stay focused on our most important, it allows us to help others. And there's a quote that says is, the only way to help ourselves is through helping others. And there's just something different you get when you help someone else out. And so that's what our community is about, is changing the world, starting with our own. And here's what we know, is that I was keeping a list of Christy wanting to write a book, and Deanna starting a retirement community, and Paula doing a record, and Mary going to the White House, and Coach Daly and Casey, Chuck, and K2 and Bill, and all of you out there. We have these ideas, and then we blink and a couple months goes by. Well, if you really want to make that happen, whatever you typed on the right-hand side of your screen, text Together 2021, and we will check on you every week saying, hey, how you doing? And we have some amazing projects and passion projects and bucket lists going on. The people that engage, you get out of it what you put into it, right? The people that are engaging in our process have no regrets. They are living, they're taking care of themselves. Their most important people know they love them. And they're not only finding success professionally, they're finding significance personally.
Beautiful, Matt. Really, really well said. So ladies, leaders, gentlemen, friends, family, heroes all, do text Matt right now. Let's make sure we do life together. And we're going to wrap up this episode by taking any questions that you may have for us right now as a Live Inspired coach. That's Matt or John O'Leary, who benefits from Coach Matt and his ideas and is a fellow sojourner in life. So a couple of questions coming in. Abby Richter, what is the biggest lesson learned during the pandemic? Matt, I'll let you answer that next, but I'll give you a couple of my primary takeaways. Number one is how fragile life is. I think we all just assume that tomorrow's promised. It's fine. Like, oh, I'll do it tomorrow or next year or when I retire. When I retire, I'll go to Europe. When I see my brother again in 4 years, I'll tell him that I love him. My parents know. No, tomorrow is not promised. And so the pandemic reminds us how fragile and how sacred life is. That's one thing the pandemic has taught me. Another thing, Abby, is the importance of slowing down and doing life with the people that matter most. For a long time, and I'll just be vulnerable, but here it is, I raced. I was climbing up the ladder, man, racing from flight to flight. And it's been a joy for the last 12 and a half months to be forced to slow down, to pause, to be at home, and to wake up and make breakfast for my kids every single morning for a year, to tuck them into bed, pray with them every night for a year, to be with my wife every single night as we go to bed together for a year, to refocus again on who I am, what really matters, where God is in my story for a year. And so the lessons that I've been learning over the past 12 and a half months, I want to make sure we apply and live into organizationally, but also individually when life does return to a new normal. So those are two things that I've been reminded of, but also just the power of resiliency. I think if someone had told you a year ago what we would be going through collectively, no, they're going to shut it down. You're going to work virtually for a year. No. And yet here we are. We're figuring this thing out and we're doing it together. So Matt, those are some of my takeaways. What about you?
John and I were working with an organization last week and we posed this question to them and said, what was the most important thing you learned through the pandemic? And the entire screen on the right-hand side said family, 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 family. And I think before the pandemic, John was saying we were on a race and even more busy. And what happened is those that we love the most sometimes get less of our time and more of our reactive behavior because we're so busy. And being forced to slow down, as John said, remind us of what is most important, and that is family. And I'll say the only second thing I think, and I said it earlier, is, everyone out there just wants to know that there's somebody out there. And our organization is always here. If you text us, we respond. If you email us, we respond. We will always, always be here for you. Those of you that see my sign off every week, it's always here because we're always here.
There was a question from a gentleman named Bob, Matt, and I think this is directed at me, so I won't force you to answer it. But it was, John, was it hard for you to find love? And it was referring to an intimacy of love, a relationship, a marriage. And Bob, it's an awesome question. I think I'll make it an entire webcast. So I hear your question. I'll give you the cliff notes, like the 3-page cliff note rather than the entire book of John's love story. But when you don't love yourself, when you see yourself as less than and different and not belonging and not fully whole, it is utterly impossible for you to be loved by somebody else. Because even if someone shows up perfectly, you'll never fully believe that you deserve it. And so for the majority of my life, at least for the first couple decades, I did not believe in who I was or whose I was. So I was not open to really being there when love might knock. And it ultimately was when I stopped pursuing love for my own self-interest, for being made whole, for having a girl on my arm, for hearing the words "I do" back to me, for having someone to lie next to each night. When it was finally taking it away from what I might get out of love and pivoting into what I might invest into somebody else, how I might love them unconditionally, seriously unconditionally. That is when love finally showed up in my life. Her name is Elizabeth Grace. I called her Beth. I woke up next to her this morning. I've been doing that for the last 18 years. It's an awesome story, and it's worth longer than the time allotted for me in the remaining waning minutes we have together. So, Bob, great question. It took me a while to be open to love, and I'm still working through that right now. But my marriage is in a stronger position now, 18 years in, than it's ever been. because I think I'm figuring out finally how to love her by loving her unconditionally, truly unconditionally. And that starts, you change the world starting with your own. So it's got to start at home first. And Matt, why don't we take one more question before we give our friends one more chance to stay in touch? But before the final question comes onto the screen, give them the number one more time, Matt, so they can text us right now at the Live Inspired community.
Absolutely. So again, on the screen there, right below John, you'll text Together 2021 to 314-207-5010. What you get with that is not only joining our community, but every Saturday morning you get a text from me. Yes, from me. And it has a weekly video from John, and it's what's happened in our world throughout the week. We keep it real, we keep it relevant, and it's right there. And then it'll highlight our podcast, our Monday motivation. And then I always give a trap and a tip to help you take the next right step. So Together 2021, come on into our community. I cannot wait to share next month's community and who we are reaching out to. If you enjoyed Davion, you're going to enjoy the next one as well.
And the final question that I saw, Matt, it's from Amy Loyette, someone we know around here. She's our podcast producer, and she's tuning in today. Hey, John, what's on your bucket list? So, Matt, I'll begin by asking you. I'll answer it myself, and then my friends, we will wrap up, take a final swig of coffee, and get into our Saturday mornings together. So, Matt Miller, what is on your bucket list?
Well, John actually had our team do this at the beginning of the year, and I took mine as what I wanted to accomplish in 2021. And so there's a lot on that list. I reached out to my little home school in Corning, Iowa, and going to start doing an annual project with them. But the real one is I am in Utah right now because I want to see all the national parks. And my wife is a middle school principal and needed to get away. So we jumped in a car and we hit 5 national parks this week and have just had a ball. And so we are on our way to taking that next right step. And so again, whatever that is on your list, let us help you take that next right step and make when you get to the end of 2021, you're going to say, man, that was a great year. No regrets.
Thank you, Matt. And Amy, there's a bunch of things obviously on my bucket list. Personally, I want my marriage to be better this year than it's been in any year in the past. And I want to be able to say that every year going forward. And that's focus that allows that to happen. But it's something I want to be really intentional on. I saw my sister, Katie O'Leary. She, by the way, for anyone looking for real estate in Chicagoland, you ought to be reaching out to Katie O'Leary. This episode is brought to you by Katie O'Leary and her real estate organization up in Chicagoland. She's one of my 5 siblings. I want to have a better relationship with my 5 siblings. I want to be even closer to Katie and Amy and Jim and Susan and Laura than I've been since we were little kids around a white kitchen table together, sitting there on benches with a golden retriever named Taffy at our side. I want to be focused on that. And so there's some things I'm doing very intentionally to make sure I grow closer to my siblings this year and in years to come. I wanted to take my kids to Hawaii. It's something on my bucket list. Professionally, there's been chatter around taking O'Leary's story and turning it into a movie. As long as the movie is not with me being the hero, but the individuals who show up in my life and what we collectively are able to do afterwards in God, as long as the focus is on the right hero, I'm in. And so I'm really laser focused now on seeing something that has been written. There's a producer attached to it. There's a director attached to it. But now, man, I'd love to see that happen. That's a cool bucket list item. And the final thing, Amy, and I'll share this with our Live Inspired Together community. Jack Buck gave me 60 baseballs. I want to build relationships with 60 individuals in the community that I feel so drawn to them, that I've been so deeply moved by them, like I have been Davion, and that I've reached out to them and inspired them in their own walk, that when I give them a baseball that Jack Buck gave me, they understand exactly where the baseball came from and the significance of it. So my goal is to build 60 relationships that are worthy of giving away 60 baseballs to over the next 5 years. I want that to be a bucket list. I don't want to die with a bunch of baseballs in my attic. I had a conversation with a gentleman, one of my last live speeches, and his response to me after hearing the John O'Leary presentation was, man, I'd love to come visit you at your home to see your man cave. I bet you got baseballs everywhere and cool trophies. That's not what I want people to receive from John. I don't care about the man cave or the trophies. They bore me. I want to give it all away. And so that's my bucket list item. I just want to give it all away. And I want those who receive it to recognize why they are the one I gave it to. So we're going to be focused here at Live Inspired Together of building relationships like with Davion. And we'll be sharing one every month with you going forward of individuals who've inspired us and who I believe we can help inspire together. So ladies, leaders, Coach Matt, community friends, 9:56 Central Standard Time here in St. Louis, Missouri. Matt Miller, I want to thank you for waking up early and doing life with us. I want to thank you for inspiring us, for equipping us, for being my coach, and for being the leader of our community. Chuck and everybody else, I want to thank you for tuning in this morning. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm looking forward to seeing you next Saturday morning. The number will be on the screen, 314. There it is, 314. There, 207-5010. Text us Together 2021, and we will send you a video message next Saturday. So for this time, and until next time, my name is John O'Leary, Live Inspired Together community. This is our day, collectively. Knock down the walls, and let's live inspired together. Have a great day.